Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Blue Ribbon Lounge podcast.
Welcome back to the Blue Ribbon Lounge podcast. We got to say it nice because it's so twice, because we're here to give you the things you want to hear and the things you didn't know that you needed to hear, or the knowledge to know what you didn't know.
Because knowledge is power.
Yes.
G.I. Joe.
That's more you know.
Oh, whoops.
Or, yeah.
Knowing is half the battle?
Knowing is half the battle.
Oh, knowledge is power. Is that Schoolhouse Rock?
Schoolhouse Rock?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. Well, we got a great episode here for you today.
Yeah, it's like always.
Always great episodes. 2 times a month, every other week.
Every other week.
We're spitting it here.
Some months might have 3.
That's true.
Yeah.
Is it?
Maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
It could happen.
It could. Leap years.
Yes.
We got Murphy's Law coming up. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, just like this goddamn computer setup I have here. Everything that can go wrong always seems to go wrong.
Is that what we're talking about?
Is that not what we were talking about?
I thought we were talking about Murphy's Law, the 1982 disco hit by Sherry.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Murphy's Law, the 1990s punk rock band.
Oh, the New York punk rock band. Started in 1982 by frontman Jimmy Gestapo.
82.
82. Yes.
That was a good jam. I was listening to what my neighbors think.
Yeah.
That was a good tune. I got a couple of their albums are on YouTube, so I have them you'll listen later.
What is it? I'm Back with the Bong.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah. There's also a 1986 action thriller starring Charles Bronson as Jack Murphy, a cop trying to find his wife's killer while on the run from the law.
Also in this episode, you'll find one of the earliest land speed records.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't get the actual record, but he did it.
I'm sure it'll all come together.
Yeah, something like that. How you been, Davey?
Good.
I got a quick shout out. Zed has a CD release show with the After Arcs and the Memphis Dives coming up, so check them out on Facebook.
Yeah, is that in October 7th?
Sure could be.
Okay.
I didn't write that part down.
All right. I'm pulling that off the top of my head.
I'm a good friend. I'm not a great friend. Yeah, so make sure you check that out. I have an album of theirs that's kind of old now. I don't know if it's the same one or not, but they make some good tunes, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Did you see them at Whiskey A Go-Go?
What was that like?
Deadwood.
No, you're close though. The Wildwood, not casino and not resort.
Yeah, the venue in Iowa City.
Yeah, Iowa City's classic hit, The Wildwood. Yeah, saw them with the After Darks. They fucking play a lot together. And then, so the After Darks are good too. Memphis Dives are also a really good band. They're for more southern than us. Don't know exactly where. Okay, here's a story for you, Davey. I got invited to go to the Melvins at Ribco.
Yeah.
Totally blew that guy off and went to watch the Memphis Dives across the street at whatever that Irish bar is.
Yeah, I'm not.
O'Kelly's or something.
O'Kelly's, Kilkenny's.
No,
that's Davenport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did a good show. Do kind of wish I would have went and saw the Melvins, like a real friend and punk rocker, but
yeah,
whatever.
I was at that concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that...
Was that before we knew each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that makes me feel a little bit better.
That was back when Ribco, like the breakers would pop every once in a while.
Yes.
When they got too much amps going through.
Too many
watts,
juices.
Yeah, going through. But they also had 2 drummers. I think we talked about this on the... that
one of the Hollywood Dave episodes?
Yeah, the obscenely named one.
The suck off, if you will. And you know what? I feel like a ding dong for not going. Because, I mean, Melvin's probably only going to be around for so much longer.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool because it's one of those things where you might not like all of their songs or dig their vibe, but there's such like a historic band with how they helped pretty much get Nirvana and the whole like grunge scene going, even though they were like not on the poster boys for it.
Yeah,
they were there underneath, like kind of promoting and helping people out.
Stepped on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I do wish I would have gone. But hey, what do you do?
Yeah, life goes on.
Now is that Fat Mike in there? Is Fat Mike in that other band where it's like 4 letters?
No effects.
No effects. Yeah.
No, the guy. Oh, no, but the guy has one of those punk rock names.
Okay.
The founding guy.
And he's got like big hair.
Yeah, I think he might also be the only guy who's still an original in the Melvins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds like a good time. I missed it. Oops. But I missed you for the Memphis Dives, and they're coming back, and they are a good show too.
All right, so check that out.
Yeah.
If when I listen to this, I'll dig up a link and put it in the Facebook page.
Hell
So
yeah.
go over there and join us. And is that what you do to groups? You join?
Yeah, join us in a group.
Yeah.
And answer a question. So we had to have a question to be answered to keep the riffraff out.
Oh, there is?
Though I think somebody got in. It was like to keep the spam out.
Yeah.
Though some guy from what seemed like South Africa or something.
Yeah. You wanted to book a show at the Blue Ribbon Lounge?
Yeah, a couple of years late for that, but I went and listened to his music and it wasn't bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, although he never replied to my DM, but whatever. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of spam, so I actually
Kicked his ass out.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck him.
But I couldn't delete the post. But I'm like, he wasn't really promoting, but he was like, I want to book a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of those, like, I'm in some like D&D groups and stuff, and people would just go on there and spam, be like, I wrote a book, or I'm trying to make my own D&D module, and it's like, that's not what this is for.
Well, or you get like the fucking cover model babes that are like, the first 1,000 people to comment get good luck and $1,000 and a free PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah, those
shit like that.
I've seen it where my friends will have a comment and they'll be like, "Hey, you won. Check out my page to collect your prize."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that's spam.
I think so.
Yeah, that's what happens when you just accept all when your friends
Yeah.
requests. You're like, you have to know the people.
You really got to weed it out nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Speaking of weeding out, glad we're doing this podcast a little bit late. My wife bought like a bazillion pounds of clothes.
Oh yeah.
Like an estate.
Oh, okay.
It was like 17 truckloads of clothes that we hauled.
Oh.
And so we've been out at my wife's farm just moving clothes around. They do a lot of the sorting and I do the heavy lifting.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a little Storage Wars action.
Kind of,
Where you
yeah.
just buy the lot and then see if you get any gold.
Yeah. And I don't know too much about this stuff. If you go to their Instagram or TikTok or maybe even Facebook, I don't know. They got some videos. I'm wearing like a fucking 6-foot long wig and stuff like that. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of moving. It's that instant dopamine hit of you take it from here, you put it over there, done.
Yeah, check that off.
Yes. So I like doing that kind of stuff.
Is that Abernathy's across the board for their socials?
Shop Abernathy's.
Shop Abernathy's.
Yes, for across the boards.
Okay.
Except for Facebook, it might just be you go to Abernathy's, just search Abernathy's.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you go to shopabernathy's.com, they have all the links to their socials.
Oh, I'm sure they're due.
Well, they better, otherwise
yeah,
their websites.
they're doing it wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. How about you?
Not too much. Had a lot of family obligations lately. Did get out to the beer stube in LeClaire.
Oh, that's a pretty nice place.
Yeah, it's been around for a while, and the quality still holds up.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's still nice, and it's a little yuppie, but their corned beef sandwich, their Reuben, is delicious.
Yeah, you know what? I think I went to the beer stube not too long ago. We were going to go to Hungry Hobo, and it was closed. And we drove right by Vans, it was close too. And the beer stube's like right on the end there.
Yeah.
You have to go all the way around the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went there too, and we had some sort of volcano burger.
Ooh.
It was pretty good. My kid knew the kid there that was like doing the hosting.
Oh, it was a young kid.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a family that runs it.
I want to say it's the Dieters.
That is definitely who runs the one downtown Moline. I guess I would assume that they're probably
they're
related.
the same. Because I think the one in downtown Moline is getting a little rundown because I think they're pumping all the money into the LeClaire one. It's a little nicer.
Oh yeah, probably makes more money too.
Yeah, but the downtown Moline one's got a good atmosphere if you like dive kind of bars.
Oh yeah, and they got that big patio area.
Yeah, they used to do bands more. I don't know if they do anymore.
For the last I knew, they just did it like 3 times a year or something.
Oh, okay. Because I think one time, I want to say I went down there to see one of Dave's bands play.
The One Night Stenards?
Or the Glimpses or something.
Oh, I forgot about that Glimpse band he was in.
But now he's in Zed.
Zed, Rock and Roll Till You Dead.
Did he sit in with drums for the After Darks once or twice?
He was in the After Darks were essentially broken up, and the main guy for the After Darks is Joe, who used to play bass, now plays guitar, and he just got Scott and Dave from the One Night Standards to play with him. So he used to call him the One Night After Darks or something like that.
Yeah.
We'd always make fun of him for it.
Oh, okay.
And it was so funny because Scott has just such a specific sound when he plays.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Surf rock.
Yeah.
And then it just like, you just toss that right on top of the After Darks, which is pretty heavy and heavy hitting.
Probably a neat layer.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't bad though.
All right, but now it's other guys?
Yes, now it's other guys again.
All right, so it's not like Dave has to do a back-to-back set.
No, but he was doing that for a while.
Yeah?
He was doing that with the After Darks and the One Night Standards a few times. He may have even done it with Zed once or twice. I can't remember. Probably not.
Yeah. But, yeah, August 7th, I'm guessing. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just check them out.
I'm not going to bleep it and put the right one in because that's too much.
No, that's fine. And you'll just have to, like I said, check it in the Facebook group or go to Zed, like band Zed or however you Google.
/Zed.
Yeah, everybody knows how to use the internet these days.
Yeah. Now what?
I don't know. We getting into this?
Oh, sure, I suppose.
Yeah, this TV series that ran from 2003 to 2007 starring James Nesbitt as Tommy Murphy, a maverick Irish cop that takes on the London crime world.
Well, what was that? There was a show called Murphy Brown. Was that kind of like the law of Murphy?
She was a lawyer, I think, in that movie. Yeah,
or was she like a newspaper, a magazine person?
I don't know. I just remember.
I remember my mom watching it.
Yeah, my mom watching it, and there was a painter guy, and then she was always like getting her house worked on, and so like the secondary character was like the painter handyman guy. Yeah, something like that.
Let's get into it, Dave.
All right. So Murphy's Law. It's a adage or epigram that is typically stated as anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
And before it was known as Murphy's Law, there were a bunch of other adages like this just recorded by some people. The oldest one I had was by Robert Bruns, the Scottish poet. In 1786, he said, "The best laid schemes of mice and men often go awry."
Yes. I think that's from the poet As a Mouse, but I could be wrong because I didn't read the poem to see if that's where it came from. But it seems like it would be from that poem.
Yeah.
And then,
well, wasn't there Of Mice and Men? Is that a poem or is that a book?
That's a book.
Oh, okay.
That's the one with the two guys.
I'm not familiar with my European literature.
That's not European.
Oh no, that one is that American?
Yeah, it's American.
Not good with any literature, apparently.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think I've seen the movie, but like the one guy's challenged and his brother takes care of him, but then
where he can count really quick.
No, that's Rain Man.
Damn it.
But it's similar kind of
Okay.
thing where they're traveling across country and the brother's always getting in trouble and he likes rabbits. And,
Oh.
yeah. That's all I really know
I'll have
about
to
that.
watch it.
You have to look it up. It's one of those classics.
I look like such a fucking moron. I gotta get caught up.
You gotta get some culture.
Another one I saw was in 1877, Alfred Holles, in a statement to the Institution of Civil Engineers, and I think Alfred Holles was some sort of like captain of a ship or something like that.
Yeah.
He said, it is found that anything that can go wrong at sea generally does go wrong sooner or later.
Yeah, so the adage has been around because, even after that, Neil Maskelyne in the magazine The Magic Circular, which is a magazine for magicians, he said, "It is an experience common to all men to find that on any special occasion, everything that can go wrong will go wrong."
Hell yeah. And I guess it was a pretty big thing within magicians, because there was another magician, Adam Holshek, and he wrote in The Sphinx, it is an established fact that in 9 cases out of 10, whatever can go wrong in a magical performance will do so.
I wonder if
hella magician shit.
Hella magician. David Copperfield ever said anything
Old
like
DC?
that? Yeah.
He was like, fuck no. All my shit goes right.
All of it.
Except when that one guy got attacked by a lion. That was the 2 guys.
Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And David Copperfield got in trouble because there's this one trick he does where he makes a bunch of audience members disappear.
Couldn't bring them back. Teleported to South Africa.
They all play along, and they were going through this like little corridor.
Oh.
In the dark. And this guy tripped on like a cabling that wasn't gaffed well, and he like cracked his head. Yeah, and so he was like trying to sue him, and he's like, "Well, it's kind of it's at your own risk, kind of thing." But
it'd be funny if there was one guy that was just like, "I'm gonna stay here."
Yeah, but I think that's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, if you were asked to do it.
I'd fucking do it every day.
But would you be like afterwards tell like your son how it was done?
Oh yeah. Well, maybe not my son. I'd tell somebody for sure.
Yeah.
But maybe I'd show my son the video and be like, I just blacked out.
Yeah.
And I woke back up.
Went through a dimension.
I went through time and space.
Yes. But Murphy's Law as we know it was not coined by a Murphy. It was actually coined by John Paul Stapp.
Yeah, that dude. This was my everything outside of the Murphy's Law part about this Stapp dude. I fucking loved.
Yeah,
he sounded like a fucking character.
Yeah, because he was an engineer.
Yeah, so he was born in Brazil to 2 American missionaries. He started out as an English major in college. But then as he was in college, I don't know if he was like babysitting or what, but he was in the vicinity of a young, a cousin.
Yeah, I think it was like a family outing they were all at.
Mm-hmm. And this young kid fell into a fireplace and was severely burnt. And Stapp tried to... Is it Stapp?
Stapp.
I was hearing it a lot as a staff, but I couldn't tell if it was like maybe the accent of the guy.
It might have been the accent. You can just call him John.
Johnny. Yeah, I think he called himself Paul though.
Oh,
John
really?
Paul Stapp.
J. Paul.
JP. So JP tries to take care of this kid. He ended up passing away, and he knew in that moment that he wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah, he wanted to help people.
Yeah. And he was quoted as saying, I wrote down so many fucking quotes from this guy.
Yeah.
And people around him, just because it was so humorous every time.
Yeah.
Not this one, though. This one's actually pretty tragic. Yeah. He said, it was the first time I had ever seen anyone die. I knew right then I wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah, and then he actually went and got a zoology degree.
Yeah.
And then a degree in some kind of physics. But somehow it said it was because they didn't have the money to send him to medical school right away. Mm-hmm. So he went and got these other 2 degrees so he could become a teacher while he went to medical school.
Yep. But then when he got out of medical school, he didn't end up becoming a doctor. He joined the Army. Where'd it go?
Well, World War II broke out, so he joined the Army. Air Corps?
Medical Corps.
Medical Corps.
Yeah. And which I think my grandmother was part of that. Like the Nurses Corps or something like that.
Okay.
They had all kinds of that shit.
Yeah.
I believe she was in something like that.
But he mostly worked on life support systems for airplane pilots.
Yeah, we know stuff like that.
Yeah, oxygen regulators and air separators.
Yes. He was involved with high altitude, both the study of the equipment and the effects on people.
Yeah, that was after the war. He got into studying the effects on G-force, because that's when like jet planes really started taking off, and they didn't and they didn't really know the effects of G-forces on humans at the time, and they thought a human body could only take 18 Gs.
Yeah, they thought that if somebody hit 18 Gs, it would break every bone in their body.
Yeah, they would just liquefy.
Become
but then,
a real meat bag.
As jets kept going faster, they didn't know if the pilots could eject going that speed.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Zapp.
Okay, so really quick.
Okay.
I had to look this up. For anybody who doesn't know what a G is, a G-force is a measurement of acceleration. 1 G is the acceleration we feel due to the force of gravity, which keeps us on the planet. So 1 G-force is approximately 22 miles an hour or 35 kilometers per hour for our metric friends.
Yeah. So it's pretty much when they say like 18 Gs, that's 18 times gravity that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, not added, but times.
Yes.
Yes. But he started to lead up the project NX-981, which pretty much they got this rocket sled called a G-Whiz.
That was a funny name.
Yeah. And it had like 2,000 feet of track.
Yep.
And like 2 jet engines.
Yes.
That could propel this thing up to high speeds.
Yeah, and the sled that they used was 1,500 pounds. And then at the end of that 2,000 feet of track, there was 50 feet of hydraulic braking system.
Yeah. And if they used a dummy at first, but at first Stapp was like, well, I want to feel what the G's feel like.
Yeah.
So you just throw this thing away. But the first like 3 times testing it, they used this dummy.
Yeah. The dummy's name was Oscar 8-Ball.
Yeah. Because he was bald.
Oh.
Yeah. But the first time they did it, I guess like the dummy flew out and ripped its face off because it hit the windshield and then flew like 800 feet into the air. So he was like, it's a good thing we tested this.
Yeah,
first.
your body can actually take a lot of G's. Probably not a face first going 800 miles an hour or whatever.
Yeah, because like the first time the teeth on the hydraulic brakes broke off, and then they beefed that up, and then the second time the hydraulics themselves failed, and it just sent everything shooting out into the desert.
And yeah, as they were doing this, they were also figuring out, they were testing like
different harnesses. Yeah. And when he went, the first time he went, he actually sat in it backwards, because supposedly as you're deaccelerating, it's your body can take the G forces better coming from your back.
Yep. And this all started in 1945. And then the first time that Stapp ended up being the first time he rode in it was December 10th, 1947, about 2 years after.
Yeah, because they ran like at least 30 trials with just old 8-Ball.
Yeah. And the first run was about 10 G's of force on Stapp's body. And as he rode, he was able to communicate like where things hurt, where things felt loose. Yeah. And so they were able to upgrade the harness.
Yeah, and they said within 2 months he was up to like 35 Gs, which they had a bunch of like physicists and medical doctors and some guys from MIT to come check out the rig, and they're like, "Yeah, there's no way you can get past 18." They like agreed. They're like, "Yep." And then 2 months later, he's already doing double that and proving them wrong. But he did end up with like a hemorrhaged retina, some broken ribs, lost a bunch of fillings, cracked his collarbone, broke both wrists, and cracked his coccyx.
Coccyx. Yeah, he was quoted. He was quoted as saying after he had done the 35 Gs that the men in mahogany desks thought the human body would never take 18 Gs. Here we are testing twice that with no sweat.
Yeah, except he broke his tailbone.
No sweat, just broken bones.
Yeah, but he was also like, they wanted him to use like crash test dummies and chimpanzees.
Yeah.
And he was more like, I need to be able to talk to whoever experienced the G's.
Yeah.
And he was also like, I don't want to put other people through this. So he would like bust his ribs and then maybe someone else would go. But then once he healed, he was back in there doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And someone actually called him the careful daredevil.
Yeah.
Because he would take all the precautions.
Yeah, and shout out to the fucking Daredevil Brian episode. Like, this guy seems like he would get along with Brian. Yeah, just crazy in the head, adrenaline rushing.
Right.
Yeah, like, he kind of enjoyed this.
Yeah. And they needed something to test the G-forces on a human being.
Yeah, because at this point, they were only testing the sled itself.
Yeah. So that's when they brought in Edward A. Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Captain. Yeah. And
that's not the actor from The Nutty Professor or the artist who sings Party All the Time.
Oh. No, that's Eddie Murphy. Well, I guess Edward would be Eddie. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I didn't even put that together.
Well, I was looking up Captain Edward A. Murphy, and I started seeing a bunch of Eddie Murphy's songs, and I was like,
all the time,
I guess I could take a break and listen to some Eddie Murphy. And that video is funny because it's got Rick James in it.
Yeah, I think he's helped him write that song.
Yeah.
But he had these highly calibrated accelerometers.
Mm-hmm. So before this, kind of the resume for Captain Edward A. Murphy, he had worked on the SR-21 jet, the SP-70 Valkyrie, the X-15 rocket plane, and he also helped to design the life support system for the Apollo missions.
Cool.
So he's got a lot under his belt.
Yeah, they're all really smart guys.
Yeah, super smart.
Yeah. But this is where like history gets is the eye of the beholder kind of thing.
Yeah, it sounds like, well, they were all working together.
Yeah.
But I would imagine you'd be keeping a lot of this under wraps because you don't want the USSR or whatever
right,
getting a
it's
hold
all
of
experimental stuff.
Yeah.
But
and at the time, Murphy was working on a project involving centrifuges and designing new sensor systems to work with that.
Yeah, like stuff that could handle the higher Gs.
Yeah, and a centrifuge, because I had to look this up. I knew what it was from like movies.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But a centrifuge is a device that is used to separate fluids or gases based on the density by spinning a container with mixed material at a very high speed.
Yes, and they're also used to train pilots and astronauts, because if you remember when Homer Simpson was an astronaut, they spun him around in the centrifuge and he turned into Popeye and his face was like but yeah, he was tasked to install these sensors, and he said at the time that he wrote down the instructions and then gave them to his assistants to hook up because they only had 3 days there and then he had to leave. And they hooked it all up and then ran the test only to find out that they were hooked up wrong.
Yeah. Well, and this is one of those times where it got kind of mixed up because there was both he sent instructions and how to hook it up with, but also there were people saying that he hooked it all up there and then sent the whole sled to STAP.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just one example of how it could be a little bit confusing.
Yeah. And because the sensors weren't working, it was kind of a big waste of money. Yeah. And they didn't really learn anything from it because, to burn that much rocket fuel and the whole setup and I'm guessing every time it runs, you have to re-inspect everything to make sure nothing failed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out these sensors
Well, yeah,
failed.
and I mean, at the very least, you got time for everybody who's getting paid, and then fuel for these rockets.
Yeah. And when it got back to Murphy that everything failed, he was talking about one of his assistants, and he said, if that guy has any way of making a mistake, he will.
Which is a funny thing to say about somebody.
Yeah. But then there was like the finger pointing and stuff. But then in later interviews, Murphy kind of said, maybe I hooked it up wrong, or I didn't tell him that it was a polarity sensitive. Like, so he kind of took blame onto himself as he got distant away from the situation.
Yeah, and it almost sounded like this was the first major goof that this project has really had, because another person on the stop team, am I saying that right?
Stop.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say it a million different ways. That's
Yeah,
my bad.
as long as you know it's JP.
Yeah, JP. Another guy on the team was George Nichols, and so after Murphy's team had made this mistake, they were they're going forward, saying was, if it can happen, it will. So you've got to go through and ask yourself, if this part fails, does the system still work? Does it still do the function is it supposed to do? And so they started like using this saying of Murphy's in a positive way.
Right, because he, like, after the finger pointing and in an article he did for People magazine, Murphy said that his quote was actually, if there's more than one way to do a job and one of those ways will result in disaster, then somebody will do it that way. And like you said, that actually helped work in redundancies into the system, because they're looking at the stuff that would fail and then making sure that it wouldn't, or there'd be a fail safe to take care of that if it did fail. And like you said, they started using that as like their motto, and they would be like, if anything can go wrong, it will. And then it was what they used on their project, and they always called it Murphy's Law, because Dr. Stapp was also like a fungi. And he wrote a book
for your moments of inertia. And some of the stuff he wrote in there was, it was just like all phrases and like kind of quips.
Yeah.
And one thing was, I'm as lonely as a cricket with arthritis.
Yeah. Man. Oh, sorry.
And it's better to be a masochist than never been kissed.
Yeah, I like that one. That was funny.
And he even, and I have more on that story, but like, he was a funny dude, because he was always like making up other laws. I guess he made one up for himself, which was Stapp's law.
Yeah, that one was, the universal aptitude for ineptitude makes any human accomplishment an incredible miracle.
Yeah, which is kind of poking fun at himself, I would think.
Yeah.
Like, as stupid as people are, it's crazy that we can do all the things we do.
Actually do smart stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, his book, like the full title of it was, For Your Moments of Inertia from Levity to Gravity, a Trist Celebrating Your Right to Laugh.
Oh my God, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. And he also, there was the Peter Principle.
Yeah.
Which was, every employee will promote through their company/job until they reach their level of incompetence.
And I think that was coined by Lawrence Peter.
I think so, yeah.
And then there was also the Parkinson's law I saw.
Yeah.
Work expands to meet the time and money that is available. And that's real government work right there.
That is real government work, when they're like, oh, you're on mandatory overtime. It's like, well, and then you find out like you're still getting the same amount of work out of these people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. God bless unions. Did you want to go back to the rest of... I know it was Murphy's Law we were covering, and we kind of got there, but the rest of that story is also really good.
Yeah. After the Gee Whiz rocket cart, they moved everything to New Mexico, I think.
Yeah.
Where they had the Sonic Wind, which had like 6 rockets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I saw up to 9.
Oh, up to 9?
I heard a few different things. I heard 7 and 9 as well. So yeah, Stapp had reached 35 Gs, and he needed, and that was like the max of the sled he had.
Yeah.
So he went to New Mexico. They created a sled that would reach potentially up to 750 miles an hour. And of course, Stapp used himself as the tester.
Yeah, and that one was different because it was kind of like similar to like when you do the straight drops at the water park.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom there's the long spot with water in it that slows you down. That's kind of how this rocket track worked. At the end of the track, they just had like a pond, and they could raise and lower the water to slow it down, as fast as or as slow as they want.
Yeah. So previous to this rocket, when they were like setting everything up, Stapp had stated that I practiced dressing and undressing in the dark so that if I was blinded, I wouldn't be helpless.
Yeah.
And when he was sitting in the sled for the first time, he told himself, Paul, it's been a good life.
Yeah.
What a crazy person.
Yeah. Well, this was his 29th run in the sled. Well, not overall, not in the Sonic win.
Yeah.
And they shot him in 1954. They shot him off, and
before they shot him off, they strapped his arms and legs down.
Yeah, so they wouldn't fly around.
Yeah.
Because have you ever seen like a car rollover video?
Oh yeah.
People, your arms, like you can't control your arms. A lot of people get broken arms because they'll fly out the window and the car will crush it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm driving, like in town, and I have my arm out the window, I always imagine like I'll be driving for a little while like that, and then I'll just imagine somebody T-boning me and removing my hand, and I'm like, just slowly bring my arm back into the vehicle.
There was an old B horror movie called The Hand.
Oh.
And then the guy was like trying to wave a car around and not paying attention, and a flatbed truck hit him and took his hand off, and then the hand became like possessed.
Damn, you know what? I forgot to hit it in the top of the round, but have you seen Get Out?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I had seen Nope, which was also by Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
But Get Out was a great one.
Yeah. Us is also another good one.
Oh, is that another one of his?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it hasn't really disappointed yet.
Yeah, no kidding. Also looking forward to talking to Death Stitch Jason soon.
Yeah. Got to figure out a topic.
Yeah. But anyways, they strapped his arms and legs down, and they also put a what do they call those things?
Mouthpiece.
A mouthpiece in
and
his
a mouth
mouth
guard, yeah.
so his teeth wouldn't like chatter and smash.
Bust open, yeah. And yeah, they shot him off, and he reached up to 613 miles per hour.
Yeah, and they had 9 ground-based cameras, and they used a T-33 jet overhead as well with a photographer in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, 600 miles an hour in the first 5 seconds of takeoff, and in 1.4 seconds, the sled had stopped.
Yeah, and they said on the initial takeoff, he hit 20 Gs just from the force of taking off.
Yeah.
And then the slowdown.
That's nothing, though. Damn.
Yeah, the slowdown, he hit 46.2 Gs, which would be the equivalent of 7,000 pounds of pressure.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was a good thing that he practiced getting dressed in the dark because they said his eyeballs hemorrhaged and filled up with blood, and he actually went blind for like 3 hours.
Yeah, I got a couple of quotes here. The cameraman in the T-33 jet said he was going like a bullet. He went by me like I was standing still, and I was going 350 miles an hour. I thought that sled is going damn fast. The first bounce is going to be Albuquerque. I mean, there is no way on God's green earth that sled is going to stop at the end of this track. No way. He stopped in a fraction of a second. It was absolutely inconceivable that anybody could go that fast and then just stop and survive.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable. Unbelievable.
Grab her like a hammer if you...
Yeah, and so his eyes hemorrhage filled up with blood, but he didn't detach his retinas.
Yeah, they thought they were worried about that.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't see. But they also couldn't see what was going on because his eyeballs were all just bloodshot. They were just red. Yeah, and that was... He actually broke the land speed record.
Hell yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
When he did stop, somebody had said his eye. Oh, yeah. Somebody was quoted saying his eyes had hemorrhaged and were completely full of blood. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
just some like military dude.
Yeah,
just like seeing him and puking or something.
The new guy's in the corner throwing up.
And then Stapp was recorded stating, "It felt like being assaulted in the rear by a fast freight train. And on deceleration phase, I felt a sensation that my eyes somewhat like the extraction of a molar without anesthetic."
Yeah,
the way these guys talked,
like put pads or something
or goggles.
Yeah,
although it was the force, it wasn't necessarily like the wind or anything.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you would like strap them down or like tape them up so they wouldn't try to fly out of your head.
He stops and his eyes are just like bulged out.
Yeah, like a cartoon, like
like wolf. Auga. All right, back to the story. So he had planned to continue this testing, even after using a test dummy at 80 Gs and the track ripped apart. He was still willing to test on himself.
Yeah, because they've been telling him the whole time he's been doing these tests, like use dummies, use chimpanzees, like, and he's like, but we need a human so I can talk to him, and I don't want to put anybody that danger, so I'm going to do it. And so finally they just had to cancel the project to get him to knock it off. They're like, you're done.
You're a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. I want to go faster. I just want to go fast.
Energy junkie.
Yeah.
Adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
He did move on after his I don't know if it was after his military career, but he did end up being a huge proponent of automobile safety, which, I mean, he was studying the effects of plane crashes. And he had said to the military, you're losing just as many people in car crashes in between the times that they're flying.
Yeah, you're losing more pilots or the same amount of pilots to car crashes to plane crashes.
Yeah.
And he was working on all these harnesses and stuff, and he's like, probably be really smart to have them in cars.
Yeah. And so he went around talking to both automobile manufacturers and politicians, really started the conversation of auto safety. He was never really like given the credit to bringing it up. But he was, I guess, with like Reagan or something.
No, is before that.
Oh, yeah.
Carter or Ford.
Oh, Ford. We'll just say it's Ford.
That makes sense. That's a car thing, yeah.
He was like there when the president at the time signed in a bill.
Yeah, because he also besides seatbelts, he also made him think about crumple zones and not making like dashboards and stuff so rigid that when you just hit it, you're just crack your head open. Yeah,
and even he was trying to get commercial planes to turn their seats around because of that fact that your body can take more G's going backwards than it can forwards.
Yeah, and the likelihood there's a better percentage of surviving plane crashes if you're facing backwards.
Yeah, and obviously they never took it.
Yeah.
But one kind of remnant of that is baby car seats.
Yeah.
Where
like
they sit
infinites.
backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's still going on because he would get them all together into a conference.
When we finally get all self-driving vehicles on the road, I wonder if all of the seats will be backwards.
Well, that'd be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, but people are dumb.
Or just have them all face backwards except the driver's seat, but then the driver's seat turns around for when you can take over and drive yourself.
Captain's seat.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Anyways, you were saying.
But he would do these conferences, and they're still doing where he would talk about the latest innovations and all this stuff, and they actually still do them today. Not with him, because I don't know, he might be dead for all I know. But someone else took it over when he got out of the military, and then that guy called it the Strap Car Crash Conference.
Okay.
And it's still going on today. And if you're interested, October 31st to November 2nd in the University of Michigan, there'll be another one.
I'm flying out there.
Hell yeah. And sorry, yeah, and he's there's no specific number, but just residual. They think he probably saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
Oh yeah,
Like
with
with
that
his-
research for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, and so now that I thought that was such an interesting story of that dude.
Yeah,
Which is, I was kind of looking forward to this. I think I put this on the list, and then I was like, oh fuck, what the fuck are we gonna talk about Murphy's Law? And then this whole fucking story started unwinding, and I was
Yeah.
like, whoa.
yeah. Because I was like, oh, we could probably I'll get a beer to review, and then I'll talk. Because I thought that Murphy Brown was actually called Murphy's Law, and I'm like, I'll just research a bunch of that and derail everything.
You would.
Yeah,
But what I found was a lot of the Murphy's Law is just kind of statistics between like negativity bias and selective memory and like percentage based statistics. So like the fact that, you know, oh, if you forget your umbrella and then that day it just happens to rain,
yeah.
you're soaking wet, so you're going to think about that for a lot longer. It made you uncomfortable.
Right. The times when things work out, you don't remember as much as the times that things don't work out.
Yeah, and that's some sort of survival instinct, I would believe, because like you see a guy walk behind a bush and get eaten by a lion, you know not to walk behind that bush.
Yeah.
You remember not to walk behind that bush.
Right.
Um.
Because there was something I heard about losing socks in the
Yes,
dryer.
that's a statistic thing.
Yeah, because of course you're gonna lose.
If you
never
lose a
lo-
sock,
If you lose a sock, you're not going to lose the other sock. You're going to lose a different pair's single sock
yeah,
because you're actually probably using the pair that matches more than the one sock.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so to go along with that, if there are two lines and one is going slower than the other, it will theoretically have more people in it.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you would be in the
more
line with
people
more
line.
people. Yep. As well as if there are four lines, you have a 75% chance to not be in the fast lane.
Yeah.
So it's like numbers game.
Right. And I think in that vein, also, when you're like, oh, I'm going to switch lanes, and you're like, oh, of course this one stops. It's because of the negativity thing. You're always seeing how many people are passing you versus how many people you're passing, because you're like, yeah, we're moving. You're not, but when you're not, you're like, oh, look at all these people moving past me.
Yeah. And like, if you're to consider like, oh, it's always the last place I look. Of course, because you're not going to find it and keep looking.
And then keep looking, yeah.
And the last one I have is like, if you have a simple 3-step process, 1, 2, 3, and any of those 3 steps, you have at least one positive and one negative outcome. There's only one specific scenario where it's smooth sailing, everything goes well, and then you have 8 other situations where it could go wrong. So you have like an 11% chance of success, 100% all the way through, and an 89% chance of failure.
Oh, if you have to do 3 steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just a 3-step process.
Okay, this step has to go right, this step has to go right, and this step has to go right.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I get that, because it's like flipping coins, and then if you make the chart, like, yeah.
Yeah. And then have you heard of the buttered toast
Yeah.
situation?
There was somebody that quoted that, but I didn't catch it.
There was a Robert A.J. Matthews who did like a study on it.
Oh, yeah.
And he determined that the height of an average table and like the mass of bread with the buttered side and the unbuttered
Yeah,
side,
like the weight distribution.
yeah, every time it would fall down, and with like the rotational velocity,
Yeah.
and you would have to have a table approximately 8 feet tall,
Yeah.
or 2.5 meters
Yes.
for our metric friends. You'd have to have a table 8 feet tall for it to make like a full loop and land
A full rotation.
yeah, and land butter side up.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like that's just like kind of a strange coincidence, I think.
Yeah, it's like a physics thing.
Yeah.
Because I think Mythbusters did something like that. because I remember they had to make a machine that would drop it evenly the same time all the time, and they like did it off a building. And I don't.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
I just remember the contraption they had to make. I don't remember.
That's the best part of Mythbusters.
I don't remember what the outcome was.
Have you heard of the buttered cat theory?
Oh, the perpetual motion machine.
Yeah.
Cats always land on their feet, and bread always lands on the butter. So if you put butter side up on the cat on the back,
hell yeah,
it'll just spin forever. Yeah,
that was a good one, I thought.
Yeah, and also if you look it up, there's also variations. Like nothing is as easy as it looks. Everything takes longer than you expect. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong at the worst possible moment.
Yeah, and all those things are really just negativity bias. You're just looking at the glass half empty.
Yeah, and
I like the phrase like, expect the worst, hope for the best.
Yeah,
that's all. I think it's just a little bit positive twist on it.
Yeah, that's being like a pessimistic optimist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave it to me to put a little bit of pessimism on an optimist.
Yeah. Well, you're like
the curveball.
Yeah, this is gonna suck, but it might work out.
That's my life in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I really liked that one. I really enjoyed that stop story.
Yeah, this crazy guy.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you had as much fun as we did with all these crazy rocket sleds.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and give us likes and subscribes and all that good stuff. Join us on the Facebook page. Check it out.
Yeah, we're always hoping to hear any fan suggestions or friend suggestions, as I like to call them.
Yes.
And
yeah, and if this is your first time listening, you can always go back and check out our back catalog.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, we got lots of good ones.
I guess be good to yourselves.
And remember, be good and be gone.